My name is Peggy Dargy. I would just like to remind you, I am not Italian. I have never studied Italian. I don't read it. I don't write it. I was just asked to do indexing. And most of the little tricks that I've showed you today, I learned. It took me 1,000 names into indexing to realize the little crossover to change an S to an L. And so I'm not telling you that this is the only way they can be written. I'm not even telling you that all my tricks are exactly right. It's something I noticed when I was indexing. And I was just hoping that by sharing the little things that I picked up on while I was indexing, that maybe they would help you so that you wouldn't get frustrated while indexing and be able to recognize the letters a little bit better. Because I don't know about you, but once I got started, I was addicted. I couldn't get enough of it. I've been doing Italian indexing for about 9 months, and out of every 100 people that we train to do indexing, maybe only 5 of them stick with it. We have found that that's probably because they have a hard time understanding the handwriting. In the handwriting, the Italians tend to do a lot of flourish, which is all the little whip-de-doos that are attached to their letters. So I'm going to go over different letters of the alphabet that I've come to recognize and show you some tricks and hopefully help you to understand the letters that you will see when you do Italian indexing. We'll start with the letter A. Now, of course, there's A's that you will recognize. You might see one that looks like an O, and then it'll have an A, a line detached from it. It's really this A, but the line just isn't attached to it, but it's the same thing. Now, when you get around to a flourish, it'll look more like this. It's this A right here, it's just got a little more whip-de-doo to it. The letter B, you get your plain B that you recognize. Then you might get one with a big fat. You get one that comes up. You look for the curve, you can see that. You get one that comes up, down, and it almost looks like an M. Now, B and an R, you could get an R that looks exactly like that comes like this, but instead of tucking under, an R will come up and have a flourish like this. And this is not the letter E. You'll often see that in the word, and you have to remember not to index the E because it really is that flourish on the R. So a B will tuck under and an R will go forward. All right, the letter C. Get a little curl at the top, you get a curl at the bottom. Sometimes you get a real long one that'll come down here, and the line will be here, and it'll drop below the line to give you that curve. You can get one that looks like an L. Looks like an L. What I tell myself when I see this, I'll see a small L, and I'll tell myself to look for the capital letter. Where is the capital letter in that? And then I'll say, oh, it's a C, not an L. You might get a really flourished C that'll have a big loop before and a big loop at the end. And so the C is right there in the middle. The letter D. Now this is your typical D, and sometimes this line will be short and sometimes it'll be real long like that. But this part right here, you can see the D in there. The one that I see the most common starts with a flourish, comes down, and goes like that. And that part right there is the D. And sometimes, even when they do that, it'll come so close to that line that you can't even see the loop in there. Sometimes it just traces right back over itself. All right, the letter E. You get a nice round curved E. You can get it looks just like that, but there won't be much dent in it. You can get one that almost looks like a stick, and it'll have a slight little dent in it. And letters like that, usually the way you recognize it is by the rest of the letters in the word. You also can get a top of the letter E, and then they'll come down below and they'll put the rest of it. And the two parts together will make the E. You get a E that'll come up, have a little curve like that. Now this E looks very similar to a T that would come up and come down like that. And the difference is it won't have that extra little curve up at the top. So this one would be an E, and this one will be a T. All right, now we're on the letter F, and I'm going to show you several letters at the same time. Okay, an F goes like this. That's a very plain F. Now, and it might even come up like that. Now, an I looks exactly like that, but will not have the cross in there. So if it has a cross in it, it's an F. If it doesn't, it's an I. Now that exact same letter, if it goes up, down, and curves the other way, if it curves to the left, it is an I. If it turns to the right, it's a T. If it's crossed, it's an F. If it comes up and looks like an F, but crosses back over itself, then it becomes a Z. So again, an I will come up and down and curve to the left. A T will go up, down, curve to the right. If it turns to the left and you put a line in it, it becomes an F. And if you take that and cross back over that start bar, it's a Z. Now I'm going to show you a couple more Fs real quick. We have an F that starts the same, but it'll have a curve here, and maybe that'll be below the line. It starts the same, but drops below the line. That could be an F, and if they're doing their fancy handwriting, it might come up like this and still have that same little curve in there, and that could be an F. All right, the letter G